subnets. We have all subnet. After subnetting, we can indeed divide more network segments. We can make multiple IP addresses in a large network available to others. Divide into different network segments, equivalent to save address. But it creates a new problem. It is how to communicate between different subnets now. So now everyone needs to know a concept. We'll talk about routing in the next lesson. Although we will not talk about routing today. But you also need to know. Because this thing can't be separated. For PC. If the PC now wants to access if it is not in the same network segment as the device, it needs to be routed. That is, access between PCs on the same network segment, without any other equipment, can communicate directly. But if like this 1.1 and 1.5 want to communicate, then there is no way to communicate directly. It needs to have a router, or a layer 3 switch and firewall that supports routing functions. Communication is by IP packets, determined by the source IP and destination IP in the header. In the future, intervene in a router. Then this router. It is called the respective gateways of the two PCs now. We will now mention a new concept. These are two PCs. Future. If different network segments communicate. No direct communication. A new device must be interposed. This device is called a router. The two PCs will be connected to the router respectively. After connecting, the IP addresses of the two interfaces on the router will be used as the gateway parameter on the current device. Let's take a look. We open this TCP/IP. Tick manual mode here. If my computer wants to go online now, some parameters must be configured. Then the configuration parameter has an IP address. Network card mask. The last parameter is called default gateway. This is for domain name resolution. Let's not look at this. For our daily surfing, not communicating within the LAN, you need to fill in a parameter called gateway. Let me briefly talk about what is called routing. This is PC. Here is a router. Connect to some public networks outside. When you are online. In fact, all access is to the operator's network. But the problem is, the operator must not be in the same network segment as you. At this time you need to have a device. It to help you access. This device is the current gateway device. Strictly speaking, you connect with it. You belong to an intranet. The interface it connects to you is your gateway. This address must be on the same network segment as yours. If it crosses the network segment with you, you can't access it. It can't help you forward. Your address and this interface address are a network segment. If you access across network segments in the future, you will not go directly to the address across the network segment. Make a direct connection. Instead, find the gateway first. It's here to help you forward. The same is true when the data comes back. Go back to this device first. Then through the corresponding routing function on this device. So the PC will hand over the data to the gateway. The gateway helps itself to forward. So the gateway parameter is very important. For us, the gateway must first know the information of the destination network segment. For example, this PC is now on the 1.0 network segment. The PC on the opposite side is on the 1.4 network segment. If I want to forward data across network segments now, then the router in the middle acts as a gateway. At least it needs to know the information on both ends. So this is a basic logic of it. And a device acting as a gateway like this, it must have the ability to forward across network segments. Send data from one network segment to another network segment. Now I assign an after-school assignment. You can do your own experiments after class. Let me talk about the experimental requirements. If your emulator is not installed, install it early. Okay. I'll draw a picture for you. After class. Everyone, do your homework according to the picture I drew. I won't show you in class. Let's talk about it in the next class. These are two PCs. In the middle is a router. The router on the left. Give it an address. For example, 192.168.1.100. 24-bit mask. This is the 1.0 network segment. Suppose the IP address on the right is 192.168.2.100. 24-bit mask. It is the 2.0 network segment. Now these two are cross-network segments. In the middle is a router. Then, for the router, I now assign an address to the left and right sides respectively. The address on the left is 192.168.1.254. 24-bit mask. It is in the same network segment as the PC on the left. The address on the right is 192.168.2.254. 24-bit mask. Set up your own environment after class. Practice the basic configuration. This is the address of both ends. IP will be configured on the host in the future. We just demonstrated configuring IP. Wait a minute and I'll show you how to configure the mask. In addition, the router enters the interface and configures two addresses. No need to do any configuration afterwards. That is, only need to configure IP for the host. Configure IP for the two interfaces of the device. The rest do not need to configure. And see if they work. It doesn't work. That is, if only the address is configured. The two of them are incompatible. I'll leave this to you after class. I won't show you in class. Let's move on. For routers, two interfaces are configured with IP. This IP address must be on the same network segment as the PC. In this picture, the router device acts as a gateway in the whole graph now. Then the meaning of the gateway is, data access across network segments requires a gateway. It is equivalent to a certain PC is a 2.0 network segment. It can only communicate with the data of the 2.0 network segment. If a switch is connected here, many devices are connected to the 2.0 network segment. PC can communicate with them. But if the 2.0 network segment wants to communicate with the 1.0 network segment, then it is impossible to communicate directly. Just go to the gateway first. Then the gateway is configured in the internet directly connected to the PC. The address of this interface. The PC is going to find this address. Pass the packet to it. It comes to help me retweet. It is equivalent to providing forwarding capabilities across network segments. The gateway is configured under the interface of the router, or under the VLAN if interface of the layer 3 switch. It is also configurable when communicating later. The PC will take the IP of its own network segment. That is, the mask. Add the IP of the other party for calculation. If it is calculated that the network segment of the other party is in the same network segment as yourself, it directly finds the device on the